G'day all, Mark from Southern Cross Amateur Astro here again, and in this video we're just going to be taking a bit of a deeper look into the object browser from APT and maybe drop in a few hints of how you can get a bit more out of it to make it more suitable for what you want to look at. So first off, just a quick overview of what's in there again. The object browser has 5 tabs. You have the DSO database and a star database. These are lists of objects that you might want to image, and we'll just quickly run over those. And the map as well, we'll quickly go over that. It's just a map that shows you, depending on what hemisphere you pick, the stars and some constellations. And then we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive into the custom objects and to-do lists. These are quite handy, and this is probably where we're going to spend most of our time. I'll show you how to import objects that maybe aren't in the database, etc. But I'll go over all that when the time comes. But that's what we're going to cover today, so let's get into it. Okay, so here I am in the trusty simulator, got it up and running, just so I can show you all this. Alt-O to open up the object browser. As I said, the Deep Sky browser, stars and maps are going to be very quickly go over it. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory here. If it has an M number or an NGC other number, different names, the type, the constellation, RA deck, the magnitude if known, and the size if known. Now these ones on the right I'll explain a little bit more. See alt, that's the current altitude of the object, so all these ones with minuses are currently below the horizon. Then you've got your AML up. This is your air mass limit if you set that in your settings for your location, and it tells you what time it's going to pass that AML limit. Mine's currently set at 30 degrees. As you can see, M3 never gets above 30 degrees tonight, so not much you can do with it, but it tells you what time they come up so you can start imaging. The transit time is what time they pass the meridian, and various times, so you can see if in the middle of the night or whether you're going to pass it early, or depends on how many objects you want to do for the night, or if you want to stay on one side of the meridian. ITL and MIT. ITL is the maximum image time you've got left when it's above your air mass limit, so that's the time you have left for it to be above your air mass limit. So 3 hours and 50 minutes it's above. For M2 it's above my air mass limit. And maximum imaging time, that's really if you've started imaging already, so this will drop down, your ITL will drop down as the time passes. Your maximum imaging time, that's the maximum time it's above the actual your air mass limit. So at the moment they're showing the same because none of them are at my air mass limit, so there's not much going to change there. So that's what those are. I'm not going to bother about going too much in. This is just the details of the items, the object you've selected. Now I'll just quickly go in the bottom here. Type of filter, by type you can sort it into the various types of objects they are: global, globular clusters, or open clusters, or emission nebulas, galaxies, or whatever, so you can limit the list more and more. Now the visibility filter, there's several options in here. You have visible tonight, and that just means when it's above the horizon, so something that's going to come above the horizon sometime tonight. It might not reach your air mass limit, which is why I've got the ones with no imaging time, because they don't get to your air mass limit, but that's what visible tonight is. If instead you select imageable tonight, the list will be smaller, but it'll show you ones that do actually get above your air mass limit, and so you can know what you can image that are above your limit. So as well as that, you've also got, you can select a limit that are currently above certain ones. I actually do have some that are above certain ones. Oh, there you go. So that's what you do. Generally I stick on imageable tonight, so I can see what I can image tonight. Then you have the option to show the extended list. Now this is my mini PC I use for imaging. It's not very powerful, so unless I'm searching for an object that isn't in the shortlist, I think the shortlist is 600 odd items, I'll select show the extended list, but generally I'll leave that off unless I can't find something in the shortlist. And even then, I do have objects that won't be in the long list either, but I'll show you how to deal with those in a little while. Then of course you've got the buttons down here. Show, if you click on show, it will show it in your Planetarium. Oops, promise you need to have it turned off for anything else. I'll try that again. Show. That's the funny part. If you have an object selected in like in Stellarium, I don't know if it is with other ones yet, I've got to get around to testing some others. If you have an actual object selected, it will not go to the new object, but that's what show does for you. It will show it where it is. Database search, if you've taken images of this before, you can search for images you've taken. In Astrobin and in Telescopius will show you images online relating to that target. So M41, if I click that, it will open my web browser, go to Astrobin, and it's looking up, and there you go. That'll be a list of, this is a slow connection here, a list of M41s. So that's what you can do with that. Telescopius is the same, it just opens up to images of the area. So that's what that one does. Add trigger, if you're doing a planning session, you can start the trigger straight from here. Go into trigger and it'll start setting up. It'll give you a tag name, time to start, it'll put the object in and everything else for you ready to go. So I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to. Next, what have we got? Oh, add and to do. So that simply adds it to your to-do list over here. So that's all that one does there. Stars, very similar. Just don't have as many options. You can show the extended list, which doesn't really slow things down, and you can show only currently visible stars. So that's just ones. And again, if you pick up one, I'll pick one that's above the horizon at the moment. Yeah, I'll go crux. Yeah. So that's show, and again back in Stellarium, and there it is. So that's those two. They're quite basic and quick. That's how you use them. Maps, this is something I never use really. It's just a quick map depending on whether you pick north or south of the equator for your celestial sky. It just shows you the named stars and the outlines of the constellations. Not something I make much use of, but it is there if you want to do it. Now we're going to move into custom and to-do list. I'll take a quick break here and come back because these are going to take a little bit of time because there's a few things I really want to cover. So I'll be back in just a moment. Now the custom and to-do lists are almost identical. The only difference between them is one has an add in to-do button and the other one has an add-in custom button. But that's the only difference between the two lot you have there. They're very similar to your deep sky database. The only difference is these ones you can edit, you can add things that aren't in the database, etc. And I'll show you how to do all that, especially for objects that aren't commonly known and you don't know what their coordinates are and that. But for starters, I'll just first of all go back to deep sky here. I'm going to get an object, one of my favorites, the Dragons of Adda. So I'm going to add that into to-do list, and I can go over to to-do list and it's now there. I can also go show. So now it's showing it in here. The thing is, the advantage of this is that you can adjust it. So if I go in and have a look at this, I like having my little egg down here, my cosmic egg, to be in the image I'm taking. So I'm able to recenter the target and pick about where I want to be. So the idea is to find a star about where you want. So that's where I want this one to be. It's not right on the rim nebula, which is up here. I've picked a star in the middle, and the advantage is now I can go back into APT. I can click on edit, and undo. Sorry, yeah, I don't know why. That's better. I didn't click on it first. So it's edit. Now what I like to do is, rather than having like the NGC 6188, I'll take that out of there and put it below it, and then I put the name that I want APT to use on the top line. You might want to leave it at the NGC or the M1 or M45 or whatever, because you know what it is. But sometimes I like to have the actual full name, and that affects the name that's going to be used in your filing and everything else. So I put that in here. I like to call this one the Dragons of Ada. I leave everything else the same. Now what you can do here is these two buttons here, because I've changed the position I want to look at it. You can either, if your telescope is actually pointing where you want it to, you can get the scope RAL deck. But if you're using a planetarium, I've got it set up in Stellarium, as you saw, where I want it, and I can simply go catch RA and deck. And what that does, it adjusts it to be where I want. So I can see it exactly how I want. I'm not going to change anything else here now, and I'll just do save. So now that position, when I went to it, if I go there and go show, okay, it'll go back to where it was originally. Oops, I've got the star selected. But as you can see, you know, the cosmic egg, the dragon egg over here is out of view. But now if I go to my to-do list here and go show on that, it is now framed up how I want it. So that's what you can do. You know, the big advantage of having this, you might want to position yourself in between two different objects. Down here we have the whirling dervish and the banana nebula, and they're close together, so if I want to get right in between them and catch them both in one image, I can do that. So that's what I use that for. But the difference being is I won't where are we? So there we go, whirling dervish. So if I have a look at this one, I've got the whirling dervish and banana. I can pick a spot in between them and that'll frame that. But what I do is I keep the to-do list for objects that are in the database exactly like they are, things I want to do. So because I've changed this one, I'm going to move it over to the custom. It'll add it in the custom, and then I'll delete it from this one. But I keep the to-do list for objects that I'm going directly on that are the same, exactly the same as what's in the main database. So I leave that there, and now I've got a custom one in here, and that's great for doing those sort of things. So I'll do it with things that aren't directly in the database. I'll put in my custom mosaics, I'll put in custom as well, and objects that are very hard to find sometimes, I'll do them as well. But there's different ways you can get them in. That's one way, by using the database. You can do it directly by using the your planetarium. So if I've got this one, I've got that set there. That's the star I'm locked on. So I can go back in here and edit. Oops. Undo. Add new. Go to the right one. You can put in your object name, whatever you want, and any notes you want to do. And I can catch the RA and deck from there, which will show up there. So that's another way to add it from your planetarium. What else have we got? Of course, you can import lists and export lists. So you can import your lists from places like Telescopius or CDC, various sites, HN Sky. I use Telescopius a lot. or if you've done up your list in another instance of APT on a different computer or whatever, you can import them in everywhere like that. I quite often use Telescopius for both mosaics and other objects if I want to frame them up, especially for mosaics and that, I'll use them. But probably one good way of being able to do it is, I'll cancel out of that. Now if you've got a target that you can't get a number or a name, or it's hard to get exact coordinates and that, what you can do, you might be looking around the web and find a particular target that you like, but you can't find the information you need, or you just don't want to cover it up, put in all the information yourself. So what you can do, and I'll give a demonstration here, I'll go up. So this is the Mermaid Nebula. You will not find this in many lists. I can't find it in Stellarium, it's not in APT, it's not anywhere. It's an ESO object, ESO 217-25 is what this one is. So what you do is you can get an image somewhere. I'd have to thank Logan Carpenter. I've pinched his image for this just to show you, and simply go to your gear tab, point craft, and what you can do is hold down shift and click on blind, and it will try and solve. This can take a bit of time depending on what it is, and I found that it works best on wider field images. I know there's some images I've downloaded this and tried this where it's a much narrower field around the image, around the nebula, and keeps failing. This one I've solved it before, but I'm going through it again for you here. But with the wider field of view, it gives it a better view of the stars to be able to actually solve it. I'm not sure how long this is going to take to solve, probably up to 60 seconds or something, but by holding down shift and solve, you may need to choose a different plate solver if it doesn't work. I generally use plate solver 3, PS3, because that, I find it works quite well with blind solving, but you may need to change if it doesn't solve. So we'll just let this go along. It shouldn't be too much longer, I hope. There we go, success. So now that I've solved it, you can do two things. One, you can click on show, and if I go into Stellarium, that's where it is. So that's the location I'm at for that particular image. And then I can go back in here, and simply, now that I've got a location and everything, I can go to store, and it will open it up in your custom list. You can give it a name, so I'll call this Mermaid Nebula. Give it a note, it's an ESO 217-25, only because I'm trying to image this one at the moment. Type, it's actually a supernova remnant. So if I go down, supernova remnant. Constellation is, what is it? I know it's one of Centaur. I think it's Centaur. I'll pick a star and just have a look. Constellation, yeah, Centaur. I had to double check that one. Centaur, because it's already got all your information and everything else in here, you don't need to worry about it. The size I'm not sure of, so I don't worry about that. But once you're done, you can simply click save. And so now you've got a new saved object. As I say, by putting the name in front, see it says Mermaid Nebula down here and everything else, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But that's the main way I use the custom list. So that's an item that's not actually in the list. I'm going to go to my deep sky and turn off the extended because it does slow. So that's like the Dragons of Ara, I know aren't in the Rim Nebula. I know it isn't in the list, so I need to go to the extended list to be able to find it. But that's how it works in this. I can go in search in Telescopius again, and it might not find any, I don't know. No, because, as I said, it is a very rare type of nebula. I wonder if Astrobin has it. They should have. More likely to have it on Astrobin. Yeah, there we go. So there's all the different images for the Mermaid Nebula. But it is hard to find. Astrobin is handy because a lot of them will show you the coordinates and that, so you can get it in yourself. So here we go. You've got the coordinates there. You can get your coordinates and that from there. But if you don't want to go that way and have to type it in yourself, simply plate solving and putting it in will do it. But that's it. I don't think there's anything else here to do. Again, you can search your database. At the moment I have nothing in this database because I haven't taken any images. Not in the object, not for this particular object, and this is only the simulator anyway. But that's how it goes. You've down the bottom, of course, you've got your filter type. By now that I've got a couple of items in there, I can go down supernova remnants, check that, and it will only display them. And of course, your normal visibility filters the same as in the Deep Sky database. That's about it. Everything else works the same as it does in your Deep Sky. You can add a trigger or whatever you like, but it gives you all the details you need, and it lets you set up your own particular objects. That's for things that aren't in the database. That's one way to do it, to be able to get that image. So that's your custom and to-do list. As I say, I keep the custom for items that A, aren't in the database, B, mosaics, or C, ones that I adjust from the position in the database. And I keep the to-do list for things out of the database that I want to image in the near future. So that's about it. That's, might help you getting a bit more out of the object browser. If you want any more information, just let me know. But I think I'll finish this one here. Wishes all clear skies, and I'll see you in another video. Take care all.